What's going on, duelists? It's your boy Nick, bringing you today on the channel an update to my Fire King Snake Eye deck profile for the post-Phantom Nightmare format. For those of you new to the channel, welcome. My name is Nick. We do Yu-Gi-Oh! Content mainly focused around rogue and casual decks alike. If that's the kind of Yu-Gi-Oh! That you're interested in, then I highly encourage you to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on any more of my uploads. We are currently working our way to 1,500 subscribers, and I need your help to get there. So with that being said, Fire King Snake Eye has obviously been sweeping over the format. It is the official Tier 0, Tier 1, whatever you want to call it, deck of the month, so to speak. And it's basically the deck to beat. You're going to go to locals, you're going to go to regionals, you're going to go to YCSs, you're going to see pretty much nothing but this almost exclusively at all the top tables. So I'm here to bring you my take on the deck list. Obviously, I know that I usually focus on more rogue and casual stuff. However, I bought the Fire King structures way back in December when they came out, and the deck was budget. At the time, I also already had the Snake Eye package because I went to AGOF Sneak Peek, got everything long before stuff spiked. Same thing with the Diabellstar stuff. So I basically already had the entire deck core. All I needed was the bonfires, which I also got. So I decided to, you know what, why not just bring a meta deck to the channel and see how it takes off. Maybe you guys might like, more meta relevant content. But either way, it's just a deck that obviously is really strong, and I put a little bit of my spice on it. And I can't wait to show you guys, my official take on Snake Eye Fire King. It's a 42 card deck list, and with the intro and stuff out of the way, we're gonna dive headfirst into the profile. So of course, you know how we do here on the channel, always start with the monster lineup first, and we are playing a playset of Snake Eye Ash, pretty much the best one card starter this game has seen in a very long time. Upon normal or special summon, you can add any level 1 fire monster from the deck to your hand. Really strong effect. Then in addition to that, has the secondary effect where he can send 2 face-up cards you control to the graveyard for cost, including himself, to then special summon a Snake Eye monster from your hand or deck, except Snake Eye Ash. So you max out on 3 copies, literally single-handedly the 1-card combo starter, 1-card enabler for this entire deck. You definitely want to max out on a playset of that. Then we follow that up with 2 copies of the brand new Snake Eye Poplar, brand new out of the Phantom Nightmare core set. If this card is added to your hand, except by drawing it, you can special summon this card, and then if this card is normal or special summoned, you can add a Snake Eye spell trap from your deck to your hand. Really powerful effects, definitely the missing piece the deck needed, because it just shores up all its weaknesses and just increases that consistency and that ceiling even further. And pretty much the best target you're going to be searching off of Ash. Then as a secondary effect, if this card is sent to the graveyard, you can target 1 fire in your grave and place it face up in your spell trap zone as a continuous spell. So Snake Eye has this thing where they like putting stuff in the back row as continuous spells, and their boss monster, who's Flamberge Dragon, can actually abuse that by special summoning monsters from the spell trap zone that are treated as continuous spells. So Poplar being able to, cycle himself or any other fire in your grave back to your spell trap zone is really cool, because that can potentially turn into an extender in the future through the help of Flamberge Dragon. So 2 Poplars all you need, no more than that. And then we are playing the 1 copy of Snake Eye Oak and the aforementioned 1 copy of Flamberge. Oak is really nice, allowing you to recover upon normal or special any one of your level 1 fires that is banished or in your graveyard, and you can either add it to your hand or special summon it. So Oak just gives you that insane recursion that the deck definitely needed. And then he does have the same secondary effect as Ash. He can send 2 face-up cards you control to the graveyard, including himself, to then special summon a Snake Eye monster from your hand or deck, except a copy of himself. And then Flamberge is the boss of the Snake Eye strategy. Because this is a Fire King variant, we choose to only play the 1 Flamberge. I know some more pure Snake Eye lists are playing 2, but for this particular deck list, we're choosing to just run the 1. And he can target a face-up monster on the field or in either grave, place it face up in the owner's spell trap zone as a continuous spell. This is a very kind of like low-key cracked way to remove certain threats, because like if you're going second, you can just start putting your opponent's monsters in their back row as continuous spells, completely rendering them useless, which is pretty funny, especially since you can also do it from the graveyard. It's really insane. And then in addition to that, during your opponent's turn, as a quick effect, he can target a monster card that's treated as a continuous spell on the field, and then special summon it to your side of the field. So that could be your own card or your opponent's card that you force to the back row. And then if that wasn't bad enough, if this card is sent to the graveyard from the hand or the field, you can special summon 2 level 1 fire monsters from your grave. So think this card is effectively like a block dragon for fire decks. It's really insane. Just the amount of recursion that a 1 Flamberge actually gets you is totally nuts. It's how the deck plays through cards like Nibiru. Like, it just, because of the fact that it floats so freely into free bodies, this deck is just an endless resource of advantage, which is really insane. And a lot of other decks in the format struggle to keep up with its pace. So that is pretty much it for our Snake Eye package. Aside from, obviously, we do play the 1 Diabellstar the Black Witch. I know some lists are choosing to max out on her. Personally, I'm just choosing to play the 1 of. We're still on the 3 copies of Wanted, so you're effectively playing 4 copies of Diabellstar anyway. But think of her more as like an extender, and she's just an additional way to search for the Snake Eye spells and traps, which is obviously very good. And outside of that, that's pretty much it. Now we're going to be moving into our Fire King package, of which we are playing triple copies of Fire King High Avatar Kirin. This card is absolutely nuts. Another reason why this deck is just so resilient to disruption, because there's a quick effect from the hand during the main phase. You can destroy 1 other fire monster that's in your hand or face-up field to then special summon the Kirin. So Kirin is what helps this deck dodge targeted interaction. Like, you normal summon Snake Eye Ash, your opponent chains Veiler, you'll chain Kirin, pop the Ash, special Kirin, now the Veiler fizzles, and the Ash just resolves off the board, which is really insane. And then in addition to that, if the Kirin is destroyed and sent to the graveyard, you can special summon 1 Fire King monster from your hand or grave, except himself, and then you also have the option to destroy 1 card on the field, non-target. So Kirin is a really insane card. Just, again, adds more resiliency to the deck and also functions like a pseudo-extender, both from the hand and from the grave upon its destruction. So really great card. You definitely max out on that. Then we're on the 1 copy of Sacred Fire King Garunix, the 1 High Avatar Arvada, followed by the 1 Legendary Fire King Ponix, another cracked 1-card starter. The Snake Eye engine or package is just so consistent that you literally, these cards that you played multiples of in the previous list, you can pretty much just all cut them down to 1-ofs now, and somehow the deck is actually still more consistent than ever, which is just insane. And not only that, it increases your available space for non-engine, which is really cool. So the High Avatar Garunix, whenever a fire is destroyed by battle or card effect, he can special summon himself from the hand or the graveyard. And then upon his normal or special summon, he can destroy a Fire Beast, Beast Warrior, or Wing Beast from your hand, deck, or field, which obviously just procs a whole slew of effects. And then Arvada, just functioning as a very cool monster negate, also floats upon destruction. And then Ponix, allowing, again, to special itself from the hand whenever a fire is destroyed. And then upon 1 more special, he can let you search for Fire King spells and traps. And if he is destroyed during the next standby phase, he will add himself from the graveyard back to your hand. So again, another really insane recursion piece. Overall, this wraps up the Fire King package as far as the monsters go, at least. Now we're going to be diving into some more of the non-engine we play for monsters. Of course, we're on the playset of Ash. Pretty much mandatory this format. I know that, yes, some fire decks can punish you by summoning Hida, but Ash is just too good not to run. You know, there's so many choke points, you know, between trying to stop cards like Original Sinful Spoils, trying to stop the Snake Eye Ash secondary effect. Ash just covers so many bases, you still have to run it despite it being slightly punishing in some scenarios. Then we're, of course, on the triple copies of Veiler, followed by triple copies of Droll and Lockbird. And then we're also playing 2 copies of DD Crow for our hand trap lineup in the main, as far as monsters go at least. So just, this deck has so much space for a non-engine, you're able to just play a lot of these crazy hand traps that just stop your opponent from playing and just keeps them off of their game plan. That way you can come back on the following turn with your 1-card lineup and just OTK them from there. Now moving on to the spells, we're on 1 Fire King Island, 1 Fire King Sanctuary, and the 1 Circle of the Fire Kings. These are pretty much all the Fire King spells we're running. We cut down Island just to a 1-of, just because I wanted to increase the consistency of the deck overall. I mean, generally, you're going to be searching the island or activating it off the Sanctuary regardless. And once you have Island in rotation, it's very seldom that you need a second copy. I always felt like if it gets to the point in the duel where you needed a second copy, you've probably already lost anyway. So, like, the second copy probably wouldn't have mattered most of the time. But obviously, 1 copy of Island, 1 Sanctuary, and then the 1 Circle of the Fire Kings. I noticed a lot of people are choosing no longer or not to play this anymore. I'm still on the notion that this card is still worth running as a 1-of in the main, just as a quick play Monster Reborn, and it destroys a fire on field, which can proc so many effects for you, and also because it's a quick play, it can be used in the battle phase, and also, you know, be able to activate itself so you can get in for some really quick and easy OTKs. But that's pretty much the ratio of the Fire King spells that we're running. Now moving on to some of the more generic spells, we're on a playset of Bonfire, most expensive searcher in the game right now. Just adds a level 4 lower pyro from deck to hand. Konami, this card desperately needs a reprint. I'm so sorry for all of you Volcanic players who just wanted to finally have a good time and play Volcanics, and you're just paywalled behind $130 searchers for your deck. It is really crappy, honestly, in my opinion. I really feel like Konami should have known better, but it is what it is, I guess. Moving on, though, playset of Wanted Seeker of Sinful Spoils. I know a lot of people hate this card and they're calling it to get banned. This is effectively how you recur your Diabell Star over and over again. In addition to that, it also nets you a free draw from the graveyard by banishing itself. Just really insane card. I can definitely see Wanteds getting hit on the list in the future. Then, of course, you do play the one original Sinful Spoils. Pretty much emergency or E-Telly or 1-for-1. I guess it's more like a 1-for-1, actually. Better comparison. So think of this like 1-for-1, but for level 1 fires. So this gets you into your Snake Eye line or your Fire King line, depending on what you need. Very strong card, and it is recyclable off of the Wanteds, which we're maxing out on. Then we're on 2 copies of Triple Tactics Talents, again, increasing the non-engine slots the deck's running, followed by the 1 copy of the 1-for-1 itself. This deck can get away with playing 1-for-1 because you have so many level 1 targets for it that are just play starters. So really strong card in this particular list. Then we play the 1 Called by the Grave to round out the spells, and then again, this is a 42 card deck, so the remaining cards you're running is just a playset of Infinite Impermanence, further increasing the non-engine slots you're playing, which I believe is 18, if my math is correct. It might not be, you might want to double check that, but 42 card list. Again, this is my take on Fire King Snake Eye. Now we're going to be diving into the extra deck, of which we're playing 1 Relinquished Anima, followed by the 1 Linkuriboh, 2 very powerful Link 1s that, again, this deck can just abuse so easily. Link 1, just being able to punish your opponent for incorrect zone placement. And then Linkuriboh, just allowing you to help climb and get stuff in the grave and just get more resources on the field. Really proactive there. Then we are on the 1 IP Masquerena, the 1 SP Little Knight. Again, this is not a budget deck. I do apologize for my budget players out there. It sucks that, you know, if you wanted to play this deck, you're just paywalled behind insanely expensive card after insanely expensive card. And I just wish that there was more ways for you guys to get the cards you need. Like, I don't know when SP Little Knight's getting reprinted, but we cannot wait until this year's Megatins to see this. That is absolutely bullcrap, in my opinion. And I hope that Konami reprints this card sooner, because so many decks need this. But 1 IP, 1 SP... Then we're on the 1 Sunlight Wolf, followed by the 1 Hita, the Fire Charmer Ablaze, followed by the 1 Dark, the Dark Charmer Gloomy, followed by the 1 copy of Nightmare Phoenix for our Link 2s of choice in this particular list. All of these cards are insanely powerful in their own right. A lot of them are, have been in the game for quite a while. You should all know how they work and what they do by now. Now moving on to the Link 3s, we're on the 1 Decode Talker Heat Soul, and then 2 copies of Promethean Princess, Bestower of Flames, the card that basically just unlocks the full potential of this deck. Being a free monster reborn, as well as a disruption in the graveyard, is just insanely strong, and she self-revives herself from grave, which is just, it's so cracked. This card is absolutely nuts. I cannot downplay how good this card is. Definitely a 2 of in the extra deck for sure. And then the Heat Soul, just another really strong fire Link 3 monster that helps you just dig deeper into your deck, just so you can see your combo pieces and or your hand traps. Then moving on for the Link 4s, we're on 1 Appaloosa. Then we're on the 1 Amphibia Swarm Ship Ambler Whale, the 1 Zelantis, rounding out with the 1 Salamangreat Raging Phoenix for the OTK line. Very powerful there. Ambler Whale, I know some deck lists are choosing to cut this. I still feel like Ambler Whale does still stay relevant in this deck, just being a really good and easy boss monster to end on that combos really well with what the deck wants to do. You usually blow this up with either your Kirin or your Circle or the Promethean Princess Engrave, and then when he's destroyed, he just revives a free Link 2, and then if a Link 2 or 3 is destroyed, he banishes himself to just get a free pop non-target on field, which is just huge. And then obviously Appaloosa is still putting in work ever since her release way back when. So obviously these are just very strong Link 4s in their own right. So that rounds out the extra deck, obviously, and now we're going to be jumping into the side, of which I have some pretty cool tech cards. Again, this is just my own take on the deck list. I'm not saying that this is the best definitive way to play it, but this is the way that I've built it, and so far it's been working out really, really well for me. So for the side deck, we are on a playset of Ghost Belle and Haunted Mansion, just for those graveyard-focused matchups where you need a card like Belle to side into. So obviously she comes up depending on the deck you're going up against. Then because again, we're in a Link format right now, a Fire King and Snake Eye decks do nothing but Link summon all day long. So I feel like playing Phantasme as a side card, or even if you wanted to mainboard it, isn't really a bad option in this format. And Phantasme just being a free special as well, letting you fix your hand and dig deeper into your deck for, again, not only your combo pieces, but your hand traps as well, is something that shouldn't be understated. So 2 copies of Phantasme, and then we do play the 1 Kurikara the Divine Incarnate, simply because Snake Eye Ash can search her. Really good for if you're going second, and just being able to break boards with this card is really impactful, being that she's a level 1 fire. Moving on though, we are playing 3 copies of Made to Order Mermaid Outfitter. Try saying that fast 3 times. This is a really cool tech spell that I'm running in the side, specifically for the mirror match, but because there's so many decks that like have overlapped this format between the hand traps and the non-engine they choose to run, this card can actually come up. What it does is you target a card in your opponent's graveyard and banish it. So think of it like a DD Crow or a Called by the Grave. But then you can add 1 card from your deck to your hand with the same name as the banished card. So if I target like a Snake Eye Ash in my opponent's grave and banish it, I can then add Snake Eye Ash from my deck to my hand as an optional effect. Otherwise, if I don't have, like, let's say I target like, I don't know, a Voiceless Voice card. Obviously, I don't play any Voiceless Voice. I can still banish that card, and the add is optional anyway. I do not have to add a card that I'm banishing. So very cool flexibility with this. And again, given all the non-engine that's seeing overlap, cards like Thrust, Talents, and whatnot, you know, even other hand traps, Imperms, you know, I could going second, I could target an Imperm in their grave, and then search my Imperm, which will allow me to bait a disruption early before even committing to my real lines, which is pretty cool. So definitely a cool tech card, and I haven't seen anybody else run this or talk about this, and I just feel like it's a card that I think a lot of people are sleeping on. So very cool card there. Then again, for the rest of the side, we're on 1 Fire King Skyburn, just for going second, being able to, having the ability to have a searchable board breaker is nice through the Fire King line. Then we do play the 1 copy of the Sinful Spoils of Subversion. Again, going second, board breaker, just target a monster on the field and place it in the spell trap zone as a continuous spell. Very good to ban out disruption or just force your opponent into very awkward plays. And then we're also playing 1 copy of Monster Reborn. Again, this is mainly because this is fire format, and trust me when I say if you're not playing in a mirror match, then I don't know what you're going up against, but I think Monster Reborn, if you're playing against any other either Rescue Ace deck, any other Snake Eye variant, or any Fire King deck, you could definitely capitalize on Monster Reborning one of their monsters to your field and just being able to combo off with their cards. So pretty cool there. And then to round out the rest of the side is just a playset of Ice Dragon's Prison. Probably not the best choice. I think, you know, these could probably be like summon limits, but I think IDP still has very good utility this format. Again, there's just tons of overlap. A lot of monsters share the same types. So you can definitely punish your opponent by, you know, misplaying or playing it suboptimally, or just use this card to steal their monsters and just use them to help you link climb into your own game plan. So I feel like IDP, if you're going first, is still a pretty good trap to be running in this format. Plus it's chainable. Like, my only gripe with summon limit is that, like, if they have like Cosmics or MSTs or any way to out back row, the whole summon limit idea just kind of falls apart. Whereas at least this is chainable. Even if they go after it, you can still at least attempt to use the card, which I like. So that's another reason why I'm choosing to run it. But that wraps up my Fire King Snake Eye deck profile for the post Phantom Nightmare format. Let me know down in the comments below what you thought of the list, and also let me know if you guys want to see more meta relevant content. I know I pride myself on rogue and casual decks, and don't get me wrong, I'm still always going to be doing rogue and casual content, but if you guys also would like to see more meta focused content, I can always do that for you guys as well. So just chime down in the comments below. Make sure you're liked and subscribed. Again, we're working our way to 1,500 subs, and I need your help to get there. So with that being said, this is Nick, hitting that end phase. Peace.